Hi, I'm Bob Fox, principal at Fox Architects, and I publish Work Design Magazine. Today, I'm having a conversation with Jennifer Ingram, and we're talking about the next work environment competition, which is seeking to recognize talent for the most innovative, valuable, and high-performing work environments. So, Jennifer, welcome. It's great to be able to connect.
Thank you so much. Same here, Bob.
Now, you're doing some very special work. Maybe if you could share your role, and the kinds of things that you're working on.
Absolutely. So I run a boutique equity and inclusion consulting firm called Calibrated Lens. We ensure that organizations are offering solutions to enhance performance, productivity, and brand presence that really do resonate across a diverse audience, as well as ensuring that it's centered in equitable and inclusive practices. Not just looking at awareness building activity or trainings, but really taking that next step, specifically with integrating tenets of diversity, equity, and inclusion into the structures and systems of your organization. Many organizations have in recent years added a focus on equity. We run alongside and partner with organizations to understand what's happening and what are some of those best and effective practices to mature current diversity and inclusion efforts and integrate equity and or expand upon the work that they're currently doing to enhance the outcomes.
That's so important to an organization's performance and how they can compete, in the market. Share with us a little bit about your background and how you got into doing what you do.
Absolutely. So my background is largely it was in healthcare, and so I spent a great deal of time, actually most of my career in healthcare. I worked for two nationally ranked academic medical centers. For me, it was really understanding how employees were able to experience a sense of belonging, but then also expanding that to help institutions and leaders understand what it means to lead from a place of inclusion. I've made a few shifts throughout that time, but still working in diversity, equity, and inclusion work. I've done this work in philanthropy for a large nonprofit. And now through my consulting work and leading Calibrated Lens, I view my role as one that is really distilling the best in DEI to create innovative solutions for my clients. I'm leading by example and creating a model for other leaders to be able to really understand both their own identity. Inclusion starts with I. We're a firm believer in that. Beyond understanding their own identity, better being able to understand and relate to others. So I sat on my first diversity and inclusion committee when I was in elementary school, really answering and itching this curiosity of how do people experience life and a sense of belonging across space and distance. And so that's a little bit about my background.
You're going to bring a very unique perspective and lots of insight to the competition, which I think is going to be extremely valuable. So thank you very much. I really appreciate your participation, on the jury. What are you hoping to see emerge from the competition?
I'm hoping to see the best of the workplace emerge. It is no doubt that we have gone through a year like no other. And I think it's also given us an opportunity to shed some of the old practices that were no longer serving us while really centering those things that are working well and being able to look at how we've, innovated and or realizing that going back into the workplace is not the ideal solution. And so I'm looking forward to hearing from respondents some of the things that they are identifying as ways that we might do away with this old notion of, and forgive my language, butts in seats, right? But really looking at other ways that we could build trust. So I'm really interested to see what comes of some of the ways that folks work to answer those questions. So.
Jen, I'm just wondering, what kinds of things would you like to see change from the way that we've always done them?
Absolutely. And Bob, I'm so glad that you asked that question. I think that equity and inclusion has elevated to the top of priority for many institutions and teams. And so, what I would hope to see are individuals within the workplace being able to name and beyond naming, address some of the harmful, normalized practices that are prevalent within organizations. And so I'm definitely looking forward to seeing, I think, more accountability around diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so I'm deeply, interested in seeing some of those trends.
I would imagine that what you're involved with requires creating a tremendous amount of awareness and then a safe environment for people to engage and exchange those ideas. And I'm just thinking for individuals who are considering submitting, what kinds of things are you going to be looking for, or what kinds of recommendations would you offer to them?
I think that to your earlier point around raising awareness, that's a very important first step. But I would say beyond awareness building, how are you taking what has been learned over this past year and incorporating it into the designs for what the future workplace might incorporate? What are some of the things that we could introduce that enhance access and accessibility? Also, expanding our understanding of wellness and well-being and viewing people as a holistic individuals or beings, not just how we often kind of engage, which was through this very transactional way in the workplace, and taking that in as learning as a way to be able to offer unique solutions for the future.
The whole DEI conversation is going to be so important moving forward. And I'm really excited to hear you share your insights. So thank you again. I'm thrilled to have you on the jury, and I'm looking forward to working with you throughout the entire competition.
Thank you so much, Bob, and so am I. And you definitely hit the nail on the head. This view of diversity and inclusion, or diversity, equity, and inclusion, being something that is separate from or a programmatic approach that's insular or isolated. Embracing this as a business imperative will be the key to organizations that are relevant, as well as acknowledging our own dimensions of differences that exist within each one of us and how it impacts the ways that we experience life. So, not a nice to do or a nice to have, but a business imperative for organizations to integrate and walk the walk.